Okay, Webster, continue from the point we left off at.
A couple of things that are interesting is that Major Hassan is exchanging emails with this character, Aulaki, and Aulaki is obviously a kind of Pied Piper for patsies. He was a patsy minder for Hani Hanjour. That's the Pentagon pilot, supposedly, if you believe that he could do those feats of flying, which is completely impossible.
Yeah, all the top pilots have said it's a complete fraud. Go ahead.
Aulaki is also a part of entrapping the Fort Dix Six, as well as this group of dupes in Toronto who took delivery of all that fertilizer, right, from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So Aulaki is obviously a provocateur. Now,
and it goes on and on and on and on, and Al-Qaeda was admittedly set up by the CIA, Brzezinski. I mean, it's incredible.
We also have that there is this Joint Terrorism Task Force where the information about Hassan exchanging emails with Aulaki, the patsy Pied Piper, this was made available, but between the FBI and the Defense Criminal Investigation Service, they decided that this was not relevant and that the commanding officer of the base there at Fort Hood should not be told. So you have all of this. The other thing is, just like Muhammad Atta, Hassan cannot be a Muslim. Hassan is someone who goes to strip clubs. He frequents the Stars strip club there in Killeen, Texas. He buys lap dances. He comes in with a six-pack of beer and drinks some of it and gives the rest to the strippers. Like Atta, he prefers blondes. Remember, Atta was cohabiting with this woman.
And by the way, that means it's really a raunchy club, because in Texas, the ones where you bring your own liquor in are the totally nude.
Okay, well, that's where he goes. So he's been there at least 2 or 3 times during the month of October. So this is it's a complete farce. Now, in terms of what happened, I can't tell you exactly what happened. There are at least 2 scenarios. One is that Hassan is simply a psychotic dupe who is told that he's going to take part in a drill, because based on the testimony from these soldiers, these drills are done on an ad hoc basis. They're frequent, and they can come up at any time.
And they're on record believing it was a drill. They all thought that.
They said, it was what we've been through before. They do this all the time. We have drills. They thought they were rubber bullets. So Hassan might have thought, hey, I'm going to go and be an actor in a drill today. I'm going to play the Islamic fundamentalist who opens fire. So, of course, he's going to get up on a chair and yell, Allahu Akbar, because that's the script. But then the technicians show up, and the technicians would be other shooters who actually are capable of efficient shooting, right? More than 100 shots. That's too much for one person, I think. Even if he's surrounded by unarmed soldiers, those are still combat veterans. They can tackle him or come after him or whatever it is. The other possibility is that Hassan has been put through Clockwork Orange brainwashing, and that takes us back to Virginia Tech, Blacksburg, Virginia. There's something going on at Blacksburg.
And by the way, that exists. That's been declassified. That stuff is real.
Right, and we know that we've seen Cho kill 32 people plus himself. We also had, at the same Virginia Tech campus, a Chinese graduate student had her head cut off. She was
and I got to stop you. This was confirmed. We first reported it here from students that live there. They kept having Marine Corps drills with the Marine Corps ROTC of shooting drills and takeovers, and people thought that was happening again.
Very, very, very interesting. And then, of course, there was also recently 2 murders at Virginia Tech in August. So Virginia Tech is one strange place. So that would be the possibility that Major Hassan had been put through some kind of heavy-duty Clockwork Orange brainwashing so that he was a Manchurian candidate, and if you tell him the code word, he starts shooting. That's possible. But even there, he could be like Sirhan. All indications are Sirhan really had a gun and really shot, but that wouldn't have been enough. In other words,
and by the way, the L.A. Police Department, for those that don't know, the coroner, they all said it was not the caliber that RFK was shot with. He was shot in the back. Turns out that guy was CIA. Other CIA people were photographed there. This is even mainstream news now that Sirhan was a patsy.
So the idea is that even if Hassan is a brainwashed patsy who goes there and shoots, to make sure that they get the effect, they've got other shooters who are much more capable, trained marksmen, professional killers,
Or he could just be a radical Muslim extremist that they guided and allowed to attack.
It's possible, though. I think that's probably the least likely.
But we know they knew, according to their own story, and let him do it.
Correct. So there's the question is, who in the Defense Intelligence Agency, who in the FBI, and who in this NIH Walter Reed Uniformed Services, who are the people who blocked any investigation or actions, because those might be the moles.
And then the final question, why'd they stage it? You have to understand that in all of these events, when it's staged, it's the same MO. The same handlers. The drill on 7/7, where the exact same trains, exact same bus were bombed at the exact same time, exact same locations. I played the clip earlier of Visor Consultancy head admitting the government hired him to do it. That way there's a smoke screen. That way if the patsies get caught by the wrong group, they just say it's part of a drill. That way if the operatives, the technicians get caught, they just say they were part of the drill. They use the drills to smoke screen the NSA and other compartments that may pick up the chatter. All right, we got about 4 or 5 minutes left here, Webster. The motive, obviously, morale's low in the military. Obama's launching a major escalation of 40,000 troops to the already 300,000 troop force of international U.S. and Afghan troops, 12-1 against the Taliban, i.e. anybody that doesn't pay their opium cut to the central banks. This is a way to relaunch the war, relaunch the idea that we're under attack, like the staged attack on the Pentagon on 9/11. This is a way to reignite the fear. We've seen other patsies lately where the FBI recruits them, cooks the bomb, trains them, tries to get them to bomb buildings in Illinois and other states. Same replay, building up to another false flag, creating the illusion that we need to keep these wars going. Webster, Tarpley, what's the modus operandi for this false flag?
I think for now the goals are two things. The first is that Obama is stalling. Obama really is dithering, and there really is a faction fight, I think, in the administration. You've got a faction in the State Department around this guy Eikenberry and Matthew Ho, who are saying, don't escalate, don't escalate. Matthew Ho is saying, get out. That represents a body of opinion in the State Department. You've even got Biden, who says, don't send more troops, just send more Predator drones. So I think the rogue network, meaning this Wall Street conglomerate, is saying, let's push Obama into complete escalation. We want Obama as a warmonger. Remember, the goal of that is to break up Pakistan. If you break up Pakistan, you're threatening China, and you're also threatening Iran. So it's a geopolitics.
And notice this is all being launched right as the news show trial for the 9/11 patsies, where they admit they've been torturing and threatening to torture their children to get them to confess to building bombings where buildings didn't exist when they were arrested. Just totally made up.
The other thing, of course, is that Obama is worried about his own political future, and that does play a role, although not the major role.
But is this a test to test the waters for a bigger false flag?
It could be, but let me get to this point. Obama's basically saying, if I do this, I'm going to lose my whole left wing. And in fact, there's going to be an emergency anti-war demonstration here in Washington on December 12th in Lafayette Park at the White House. So Obama's going to hear protests through his own windows, which has been a rare event up to now. The other thing is that you have the anti-Obama opposition growing. The rogue network would like to endow that opposition with Islamophobia, hatred of Arabs, hatred of Muslims, and so forth. You look at what Limbaugh, Hannity, O'Reilly, Glenn Beck, and so forth are doing. This is now straight, delirium of hatred against Islam. Now, a third level, maybe the higher level, is that we also have this dollar crisis going on, and there may be a group in the ruling elite that can control this rogue network saying, look, we've got to do something to save the dollar. Forget geopolitics. Let's look at the dollar. Let's have a big shooting incident in the Persian Gulf. Let's have the Straits of Hormuz closed. Let's have a catastrophe in terms of world oil supplies. That's going to be bad for China. That's going to be bad for Japan. And you'll have the flight to safety, the flight of all the hot money in the world into the dollar, which is the likely result of a crisis of that magnitude still today, they think at least.
And by the way, Reuters today, IMF head eyes global currency change presses on yuan. The imperative of greater global currency stability means the world can no longer rely, as it's done since the end of the gold standard, on currency issued by a single country, the head of the IMF said on Tuesday. That's Dominique Strauss-Kahn, the Bilderberg Group member. And there's all this propaganda about how this has got to happen future. But I really want to thank you for the amazing piece that you wrote and sent to us to post at Infowars.com. Major Hassan on Fort Hood, a patsy and a drill gone live. You've only seen the tip of the iceberg with Webster in the last 30 minutes.